Hello, and welcome to the Garden of Grace devotion. My name is Pastor Katie, and I'm one of the pastors at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lilburn, Georgia. Today, I am greeting you from my closet. I'm greeting you from my closet today because we're going to talk about shoes. Today in the Garden of Grace devotion, we're going to talk about shoes. Oftentimes, when we go outside, or sometimes even when we're walking around in our house, we wear shoes, don't we? And I wear different kinds of shoes for different purposes. I don't know about you. But I have exercise shoes, for example. When I put these on, I'm preparing to go for a run, or maybe a walk for exercise, or get on the elliptical. Maybe I'm going to go for a walk with a friend. But when I put these shoes on, I'm preparing to go and get after it. Do something related to exercise. These shoes help me to exercise. When I am going to go and exercise on a spin bike, I have these shoes. These help make it possible for me to exercise on a spin bike. They have special clips that clip in. These were a gift from friends in a spin class years ago. It's been a while since I've used them. They're a good reminder. But these are shoes that make it possible for me to get a good workout in on a spin bike. Probably my favorite pair of shoes are these right here, because I am from South Florida and I love me some flip-flops. When I put these shoes on, I'm usually preparing to relax or just fiddle around in the garden, walk around outside, hang out in the house. These are shoes that I put on when I'm not having to do exercise or something like that, when I can relax a little bit more. We have different kinds of shoes for different kinds of purposes, don't we? Well, are you wondering why I'm talking so much about shoes? I'm talking about shoes because in our reading from Ephesians last Sunday, Paul wrote about shoes. In our passage from Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 20, Paul was writing from his prison cell. And as he was writing, he looked around at different times when he was in prison, and he saw the Roman guards and the armor that they were wearing. And he used it as an illustration for preparing ourselves to live out our lives as children of God. And Paul wrote about the belt of truth and the breastplate of righteousness. He wrote about different parts of the armor that Roman soldiers wore, but he shifted them so that they would be talking about ways to live in the world as children of God, things that prepare us for that. And my favorite part of the passage is when Paul writes, "And put on shoes for your feet that prepare you to spread the gospel of peace." Paul is talking about arming up for daily battle in life, for protection. And he writes, "Put on shoes for your feet that prepare you to spread the gospel of peace." I read those words and I just sat there with them for a little bit. What if we did that? What if I did that every day, whichever pair of shoes I put on? What if each day I got dressed with the intent of putting on shoes that prepare me to spread the gospel of peace? When I go about my day and I run into something that frustrates me or angers me, when I have an interaction in traffic or somewhere else, what if I take a moment to just feel my feet in my shoes and remember this passage from Paul? May we put on shoes that help us to spread the gospel of peace. And may we remember that Paul did not write these words from a mountaintop with butterflies and sprinkles and unicorns and rainbows. Paul wrote these words when he was imprisoned. He was imprisoned for sharing the good news of the gospel. My goodness, he had reason to put on any other kind of shoes but shoes to spread the gospel of peace. He could have put on shoes to kick people in the fanny. But from his prison cell, Paul writes these words: put on shoes for your feet that prepare you to spread the gospel of peace. How many different opportunities do you think we have in a day to spread the gospel of peace? Instead of giving in to the temptation to spread the gospel of anger and hate, to spread a gospel that separates and divides, what if through God's grace, I and you and we seek to spread the good news of the gospel of peace? What if we did that at the grocery store? What if we did that as we're sitting and typing text messages? What if we had gloves of peace? I wonder if Paul would have addressed that if they had the internet and cell phones. What if, before we write something and send it, text, what if we imagined wearing gloves of peace, of the gospel of peace? I was so struck by this illustration that I wanted to share it with you today. I want to seek to try to be intentional and think about it when I put my shoes on in the morning, of all the places they'll take me that day. And may God help me to spread the gospel of peace wherever I go. I pray God's peace for you today and always. May our God help us spread the gospel of peace everywhere we go, with our feet and in everything we send with our hands.